$50,000. That is the number at the center of one of the most devastating moments in hip-hop history. Not a million, not a record deal gone wrong, not a feud that escalated beyond control. $50,000 in a Louis Vuitton bag, sitting in the lap of a 20-year-old genius on a Tuesday afternoon in South Florida. That is all it took. That is the price the universe apparently decided to put on one of the most original creative voices of an entire generation. And the more you sit with that number, the more senseless the whole thing becomes. Because the money was not even for himself. Welcome to the Hip Hop Watchdog, the channel that does not let the culture forget what actually happened when the headlines move on. If you are new here, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell because we are about to break down every single layer of the story that most channels are too lazy to dig into. Let us go back to the beginning, because the robbery itself did not happen in isolation. It was planned, it was calculated, and it was carried out by people who had been watching XXXTentacion's movements with a level of deliberate attention that is genuinely chilling when you lay out the timeline. On June 18, 2018, Jose Onfroy visited Riva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach, Florida. He had withdrawn a significant sum of cash, over $50,000, with the intention of donating it to support a local youth program. This detail tends to get buried under the drama of the conspiracy theories and the legal battles, but it matters enormously. The man was on his way to do something good. That is the version of XXXTentacion that his fan base always insisted existed beneath the controversy. And on the last day of his life, that version showed up in full. He never made it out of the parking lot. A black SUV pulled up, two masked men moved fast, demanded the bag, and when X did not immediately surrender it, they shot him, twice, in the neck. He was pronounced dead at Broward Health North shortly after. He was 20 years old, had just released his second studio album, and was in the middle of what felt like a genuine artistic and personal transformation. Now here's what the investigation revealed, and this is where the story shifts from tragedy to something even darker. The four men arrested, Dedrick Williams, Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen, were not strangers who stumbled into an opportunity. This was a targeted hit, disguised as a robbery. Prosecutors laid out evidence suggesting the group had been tracking X, monitoring his schedule and movements, waiting for the right moment. The $50,000 was not a random score. They knew he had it, which means someone, somewhere in his circle, knew he had it too. That particular detail has never been fully explained to the public's satisfaction, and it is the thread that, when pulled, makes the entire story feel even more sinister than the surface-level facts already suggest. Robert Allen, the fourth man, was the one who ultimately cracked. He cooperated with prosecutors, turned state evidence, and handed investigators the kind of testimony that made the trial almost procedural in its one-sidedness. His cooperation secured life sentences for Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom, while Allen himself received a drastically reduced sentence, 7 years compared to the forever that his co-conspirators received. 7 years for being the wheelman in the murder of one of the biggest artists on the planet. Hip-hop has been arguing about whether that trade was fair ever since. The surveillance footage from the scene was damning. The phone records were damning. The witness testimony was damning. And yet, even with all of that, the case has never felt fully closed in the cultural sense, because the question of how the killers knew about the $50,000 has never been answered publicly with the kind of clarity that brings actual peace of mind. What we do know is this: the robbery lasted less than a minute. The planning behind it took considerably longer, and the impact of those few seconds in a Florida parking lot has rippled through hip-hop for years in ways that are still unfolding. New music from X's estate continues to surface. His streaming numbers remain staggering. His influence on an entire generation of artists who blended emotional vulnerability with aggressive sonic energy is undeniable and well documented. The $50,000 was never recovered in any meaningful sense. The Louis Vuitton bag, the cash, the youth program it was meant to fund, all of it swallowed by the violence of that afternoon. And the men who took it are now spending the rest of their natural lives staring at prison walls, which means in the end, nobody actually kept the money in any way that mattered. $50,000. That's what they thought XXXTentacion was worth. History has already proven just how catastrophically wrong they were. Thanks for watching.